Welcome back to another video. My name is Henrik and today I have the pleasure to drive one of my dream cars, which is the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, which in my opinion is just one of the most amazing looking sport limousines that you can pick up. In my opinion, even better looking than the M3. It's different, it looks fantastic, and it drives fantastic, and still one of my dream cars, and it's just an all-rounder which I personally love. However, we're still going to critique a couple of things. We're going to look at the good, we're going to look at the bad, 0 to 100. We're going to look at the price, the things you can pick up, and in general just how it drives and how it performs. So let's get right into the video. So the current starting price is 100,700 euros in Germany. Other prices listed all over here. There's only a couple of things we have actually selected on this car because standard-wise you already get quite a lot of things. So the way the car is standing here, around 106,000 euros and 200 euros. The color on here is the Rossa Etna red color, basically. Looking very nice. It's an extra that you're going to have to pick up for around 3,000 euros, which is quite a lot. I personally really do love this because it fits in so well with the black touches and the carbon touches. The green color is obviously the one that is just the typical Alfa Romeo color for the Quadrifoglio. Let's start off with the front. You get not like your typical sports car, an aggressive looking front. You don't get a big single frame in here like an M3 for instance. You just have one in the center with the Alfa Romeo, which is typical, and then very big intakes here on the bottom and bottom sides, which look absolutely fantastic. We standard-wise now also get full LED matrix lights, which is quite nice. For instance, BMW will have to pick that up. And also the carbon touches here in the front for the front splitter, which is also an active one. So at around 100 kilometers an hour, it will move down 3 centimeters to give you, to get more stuck to the ground, basically. I mean, the license plate, just that typical Alfa Romeo way that it looks here and it's stuck on the left side, something you don't see often, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. We also on the bonnet here, for instance, get air outtakes. So we get these vents on here, which also look quite nice. And under here is one of the highlights of this car. And now under here, well, first of all, our whole bonnet here is going to be out of carbon fiber, so it's very lightweight and it also looks fantastic. Even when you're driving in the inside, you can see a couple of the carbon touches because you kind of can look under the bonnet. Looks absolutely fantastic. And under here we have that typical misconception where a lot of people say it's a Ferrari motor or engine. It's not. It's kind of, but not really. The person that kind of developed this is also the one that developed the V8, the F154 from the Ferrari California. And lots of people then say, okay, it's just a cut down Ferrari F154 engine. It's not. It's the same person that did design that, but this is a 690T engine, which is built from the ground up, but it uses a lot of the same parts that F154 engine did use. Because of research and development costs, they just want to keep that as low as possible. So they decided, okay, that engine already works so well, let's just try to implement it in here, which is now a 2.9 liter V6 90 degrees engine with a bi-turbo in there, producing 520 horsepower. That's 10 horsepower more than the pre-facelift model had, and also 600 newton meters. All of them is going to be powered with the rear-wheel drive system. And that is going to be quite a lot. So 520 horsepower, 600 newton meters, 0 to 100, 3.9 seconds, and a top speed of 308 kilometers an hour. BMW M3 competition with the driver package will only go up to 290. And this is also powered or driven by an 8-speed ZF gearbox. And while I did already mention the M3 a couple of times, let's just look at how it compares to that car. Starting price, this is obviously going to be at 100,700 euros, but you already get 520 horsepower, 308 kilometers of top speed, where the M3 comes a little bit cheaper at around 95,000, but then with those 480 horsepower, you'd have to pick up the M3 Competition to get to 510 horsepower. But then you still have to add a lot of features. For instance, if you want to get carbon touches on the outside, you're going to have to pay a lot. If you want the M Drivers package, you're going to have to pay extra. And just in general, quite a lot of extra, where you are going to be at a way higher price than the way the car is standing here. And this car offers more horsepower, a wonderful design in my opinion, and a couple other things. You can obviously also pick up an Audi RS5 for instance, and then nowadays nobody wants a C63 anymore because you get a 4-cylinder, so I'm not even going to mention that car anymore. Yeah, maybe that was a little bit too much for Mercedes, but in my opinion, who wants a 4-cylinder? I think they also recognize that by themselves. But otherwise, let's quickly talk about the design here on the side. It's an absolutely fantastic design in my opinion. We also get our side skirts here in carbon touches as well, all standard. Blacked out rear windows, keyless entry and keyless go with the press of the button. You can open and close it, and also automatically foldable side mirrors. We obviously get our, what is it actually called in 4-leaf clover, which is absolutely fantastic from 23, where he won that race, and before he started, a couple of his engineers, they drew that onto his car, and ever since he won that race, they implemented that. Looks absolutely fantastic. We do have different tires on here than the ones that you can pick up standard-wise. These will cost you, I think, around 800 euros extra. I personally do like the normal design better because it just has that typical Alfa Romeo design, but they're also going to be in black, so not too much difference. And you will also have your brake calipers in here, which is an extra option for us, 500 euros to get it in red, otherwise you get it in black. You can also pick up ceramic brakes for this, which are going to cost you, however, 9,000 euros, which are Brembo ones, so quite a lot. But these already look absolutely fantastic here on Pirelli Corsa tires, looking quite fantastic. If we, however, look at the back, there's a little bit of a difference compared to the front, where you actually have another kind of system up on the top here when it comes to the brakes. Those are for your electrical handbrake, and I haven't seen that implemented like that before, but that's how it looks here on the Alfa Romeo. And there really isn't a single side to this car which does not look fantastic. Let me know which one you like the most, front, the back, or the side. Just let me know in the comments. We get our rear LED lights in here, which also look quite nice because they have kind of this darker touch to them. We get a roof spoiler, or let's call it a trunk spoiler on here, which is also out of complete carbon, and a rear tinted window. Alfa Romeo badge, and then we have our wonderful downside on this thing, which is, or downstairs part, absolutely massive diffuser on the bottom. We get quad exhaust types. The one thing we don't have equipped on here is the Akrapovic exhaust system, which costs you 6,000 euros extra, but in my opinion a must for this car, because then it sounds like the best V6 engine out there, and especially when it's been driven in or been driven a couple of times. The Akrapovic sounds fantastic. This is a little bit more on the quieter side. If you're looking for that, then this is going to be also quite nice, because it's just over long journeys going to be a little bit more comfortable. We'll do a sound check here in a second to listen to how it sounds. I think they still do sound fairly nice, especially over the 3000 RPM side. We also have a trunk, which is not going to be electrical, but quite springy, so you can also open it from the inside. And in here we actually get quite a decent amount of boot space, up to 520 liters. And you can obviously also flip out the rear seats there. Alfa Romeo did claim up to 1,600 liters. Don't know how accurate that is going to be. Obviously, because it is a limousine, you are going to have a little bit of a smaller loading space in here, so it's going to be a little bit harder to get bulky items in the back. And join me in the back, where it's actually quite roomy for my size. I'm 1.80 m tall, 5'11". Knee room is quite decent. The seats are not going to be squishy, so I can't put my knees in there completely. These are also the standard seats. You can also get carbon seats or like bucket seats in here, which are going to probably make it a little bit less comfortable in the back, or maybe even a little bit better because they are kind of shaped a little bit more, so rounded, so maybe you get a little bit more space. Footroom is also okay. Support here on my thigh. If I'm sitting like this, I'm fully supported. Like this, I wouldn't be. Headroom is actually quite decent. I have around 5 centimeters of space there, so I'm 1.85 m or 6'2". I'd probably start having some problems on the top. The only thing that is a little bit uncomfortable over longer journeys is probably that the rear bench is more on its firmer side, so it's not going to be the most comfortable. We do also get a center armrest, so you can put 2 couples in here, or you could theoretically sit in here with 3 people in the back, but the center tunnel is going to be quite big, so it's not going to be the most comfortable thing. When it comes to the seats, we also get quite easy to get isofix points, so you can't put a child seat in here. You're just going to have to get a little bit less room in the front. We get 2 air vents in the back without our own climate zone, and also a USB port on the bottom where you can theoretically charge your phone with USB. Let's look at the quality on the side. We get more carbon touches on the top here, which is quite nice. Softer material all throughout, and then some stitching down here, and down here it's going to be hard plastic with a very small space for a bottle, and that's about it. You do also get 2 lights on the top, but no panoramic window or anything like that. And then once you do get the chance to drive a little bit faster, you can go into race, which is down here. You can even put it into soft dampers, which over long distance might be a little bit nicer, especially if you're on D. And then this car is going to be insanely quick. And it sounds amazing. What race also does is, no matter what speed you're at, it always, or RPMs I should say, the pops and bangs, well not pops and bangs, but the exhaust pipe is always going to be open. In D, for instance, it's only going to open after 3000 RPMs. D and R, well, in race do a couple of different things. If you're in race, for instance, you can see ESC is completely off, collision warning and stuff like that is also off. So it does change a little bit, and it makes the car quite oversteery and a little bit harder to control, but also insanely agile and fun to drive, and basically limits you to nothing. Everything that this car offers is going to be available to you at those, well, settings, and it is absolutely fantastic. And what I do love about this car is just the fast driving of this. The handling is super precise, it's absolutely fantastic. The ZF8 speed gearbox also does a quite nice job, and it gets up to those speeds so quickly. I think the 0 to 200 value is also 11.9 seconds, which again is quite quick. And 520 horsepower on the rear wheels is quite a lot. So you do have to pay attention when you're accelerating out of a corner, especially when you have ESC off. And the brakes also quite nice. You really don't need the Brembo brakes, the ceramic brakes in my opinion, on here. And the GoPro is completely falling off here because I'm pulling too many G's, I'd say. And sadly there's a person there, otherwise I would have maybe drifted a little bit into it. It is insanely fun. And the car is so throttle happy, it's insane. Also, to go into race mode, you do have to hold it down for a couple of seconds so it activates, so you know what you're pushing your limits to. Oh, it is so fun. The ZF8 speed gearbox also is really nice. It only is not the nicest when you're driving at lower speeds because it's going to be quite chunky and, well, kind of hard to completely get it to be kind of smooth because the shifts are going to be quite harsh, and in my opinion, around town, it's not the most comfortable car to drive. They are the M3. I've not driven an M3 personally, but might be a little bit nicer. But otherwise, when you really take this car out for a spin and really put it into its dynamic feeling or dynamic setup, it is so precise, such a great handling, and no bump in the road is basically going to deteriorate your input and steering input. Let's turn right here and accelerate a little bit. See if the rear wheels spin out. There you go, you can't push it quite nice. Oh, and you can obviously also manually shift. Oh, it is so amazing. And the ZF8-speed gearbox is also super quick, so the shifts are very precise. So I'm shifting down here. I mean, that is so quick. That is super nice. But I am gonna go back into, well, D, just so it's automatic. And also the cornering capabilities here. It is super planted to the ground, and the car, what is so amazing, it feels so nimble and small. It doesn't actually feel as, it's not even a big car, but it just doesn't feel that big. It feels so nimble, small, only 1,700 kilograms, 1,735 if I'm not mistaken. It feels nimble, it feels agile, it steers into the corner exactly how you want it. It's super precise, and it is also so amazing to drive. And those backfires are so amazing when it shifts up. It does remind me a lot of an RS5, for instance. I just find it amazing that you have 520 horsepower all on the rear axle, and it does a really good job of putting it onto the ground. Wow! And the push, especially past 3,000 RPMs when that kind of turbo lag has been removed, is so tremendous. And then you can just drive up to 308 kilometers an hour, which we're gonna do here in a second on the Autobahn, hopefully, if it is clear enough. It's just ridiculous. And I mean, like I said, the precision that you get in this car and the steering wheel here is so fine. Absolutely love it. And it bolts you into the back of the seat and then shifts you back forward when it shifts up or you go off the gas. But going back into it, and then I'm getting yeeted forward. It's absolutely fantastic and an absolute dream to drive this one-of-a-kind car. So what is my final verdict on one of my dream cars? Well, it was an absolute joy to drive this car. It is very powerful, especially once you start getting over, let's call it the turbo lag there, at around 3,000 RPMs. It just pushes you at almost any speeds and in any gear. It's absolutely fantastic, and it does sound quite nice. If, however, you would put that a Karpovich, I think it just adds another flair to it. Design is just one of a kind. I think even this car in probably 10-15 years, it will still stand out to be one of a, well, just wonderful design. In my opinion, like I already said, better than the M3, and therefore a car that I'd rather pick up than the M3. What do you think of the car? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.